Sweeney,
No, Sweeney, there's a
you
place
take
for
that
those.
perspective, can you
I'm not.
please do me a favor and look up the definition of what leadership is? Look up the definition of lead and tell me what you come back with.
I know the definition of leadership.
So
Those
let's stop
qualities.
acting like
No,
it
wait. Those
includes
qualities.
control.
Those qualities. They still have to have some form of control over their subordinates. That's
Over
the
the situation.
over their subordinates. It's not just a situation. If you get out of line, I have the ability to either get you to move in a certain direction or remove you from the direction.
How are you going to
There's
do
no.
that? How are you
So
going
if
to do
your
that
boss,
physically?
I'll give you an example. And that's the point. Is that
That's
you
my
don't? It don't have
question.
to. The thing is that we shouldn't have to get physical with you. Why
But
does it
in
always got
order
to go
to
to
move
physical?
somebody somewhere, what do you have to
You
do?
want to know what they? All right. Let's look at it from. Let's
You
hold on.
used to
Wait.
get
Hold on. Wait,
physical
Bruce.
with.
Hold on. Wait, Bruce. Hold on. We ain't even got to go in that direction. You want to know how your job can control you and move you in a certain way? They just let you go and stop paying you, and no service package. They
And
just say
that's
they
the job's choice. They are controlling the
right. But the
situation, not
problem
the
is no. The
person.
problem is that they are controlling the person. They kicking them out the
The
job.
person could still come back to the building.
No, they can't. They can say, "Get your ass out,"
They
and you cannot.
physically can still come back to the building. Physically, they still can.
So they can walk up. So they can walk up to the building. They can walk up to
What are
the
y'all
edge of the
arguing,
property
bro?
line. Hold on, wait. They can walk up to the edge of the
We
property
lost it.
line to do whatever they want. However, when it comes to them being within that building and operating within the confines of that building, the job can remove them at any given time. Their job is no longer responsible for that person. They no longer have to pay that person. That person doesn't get no severance package from them. They get to walk away free and clear. But in these particular situations, men are being expected to still be responsible with no control. And y'all saying, well, just control the situation. Part of controlling the situation is controlling how the people up underneath me move.
Well, you should have controlled marrying the right person.
God damn it. Yep. And when y'all get controlled people, y'all should have worried about being in the right situation. God damn it. Shit, since we gonna go down that route.
I got a quick
Go ahead,
question.
Callie. Hold on, Callie had a thing in her hand. No, go ahead, Callie.
I was just gonna say this is kind of a little bit off topic, but not too much. I kind of wanted to go back to the whole freedom thing, and I don't know if you guys believe in God or not, but for me, I feel like God gave us the freedom to choose if we decide to walk with Him or not. And the reason He did that is because He understood that in order to have true love, it comes with free will. And so when I think of freedom, I think of the free will to make a choice if I'm going to love you to the fullest extent or if I'm not going to love you at all. And that's kind of how I live my life. And what I think when I think of freedom, that's what I think of is like God gave us all the choice to choose Him or not. And it's similar to like, with relationships, because a relationship with God to me is more important than anything. So the way I treat my relationship with God is definitely going to be similar to how I treat my relationships. So when I think of the topic that Lapeef said, and that is why I made the statement I made earlier. Now with this whole like control and stuff that we've been on for the past 45 minutes, I don't know, but for me, that's what I think of. And I think that when you go and you make the choice to be with someone, you want to have that choice to be with someone instead of being forced to find someone just because you have to, because you're a woman and you're getting old. No, you want to find someone that's suitable and take the time to make sure that this is going to be the person that you walk with forever. Because me, when I get married, I really only want to get married once. No matter what we go through, I don't want to get divorced. So I'm very particular in whom I choose to be that person for life.
God has
I
very
really
strict.
like that you use that, Callie.
God has very strict consequences for you not following Him, right?
Of course.
There's extremely strict consequences for that. Now, I don't know about y'all. Now, all right, put it like this. I grant y'all that, right? I will
don't grant them that.
Oh no, wait. I will grant you that. But then there should be consequences for when you turn away from the man that you choose to be your leader, he's no longer able to control you or be able to lead you the way that he should. Then he should be able to let you go in a certain way that makes it consequential for you, just like God makes it consequential for you.
Did you create that woman?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Let's not relate it to God in that way then.
First of all, Sweeney, you can't grant them an argument that is inaccurate. When she's making a statement about God, the way God loves, he allow you to choose him or not. But if let's say you did choose him, because we're talking about you choosing a man and you get in a relationship, you got a relationship with God. God is probably one of the most controlling figures you would ever try to understand. He has strict commandments and strict rules. There is no condition upon where you can deviate at all. Period. Straightforward, no chasers. So there is no arguing with you. God don't argue with you. Once you start sinning, it's repentance immediately.
Exactly, and that
If
is
you're
the
going to try to use God,
that's
exactly what submission is.
you just better be
That's
glad.
exactly what submission
You
is.
better just be glad. You better be glad that the men are not running around here using leadership methods that God would use. Because I would argue that in a lot of cases, if you read the word, God was a chastising God. God showed his wrath, especially to the ones who followed him. So I don't know why you chose to use that comparison, but it kind of came back and slapped you in the face.
What do you mean a comparison? What do you mean a comparison? I wasn't stating it to say that you can't allow your man to lead. I never made that statement. And in fact, if you reverse this tape earlier, I even stated that in order to lead, you do have to have some form of authority, which was stated earlier. I'm not going to go back on that. The reason I made that statement was because of the whole talk about freedom and what freedom really is and why people have freedom, why people have the willingness to make a choice. People can't love you if they don't have the choice to love you. And so that is why I made that statement. And yes, you don't think that there are consequences for not choosing someone, or
well,
you
what
don't
I'm
think
saying
there are
is what you're doing is you're talking about the choice to love. We're talking about the choice on whether not to follow our leadership or our command or our suggestions or our
and you don't think
recommendations.
there are consequences for not choosing to allow your husband to
there aren't.
No, what I'm saying is let me finish, because you're going to jump to conclusions, and assumptions are not a good thing. What I'm saying is there are consequences and things that happen that are not in your favor when you don't allow the man to do what he needs to do in the relationship. When it comes to leadership, there are consequences that come to that, because at the end of the day, there are consequences to everything. Everything has some type of consequence to it that when you choose outside of your relationship. That's not what I'm saying.
Well,
I was
again,
sticking to
you
the prompt
said,
because we've been on the same conversation
heard
for
what
the
you
past
said.
45 minutes.
I heard what you said. You said God allows you to choose him. You're
choose
talking about
him.
if we were supposed to draw the parallel to what we're talking about in dating and relationships, you're talking about the selection process.
Yes.
No man is out here forcing a woman to be with him. We're talking about a situation where you're already with the person. You're already partnered up. You're already in a relationship, and you don't want to listen to his command.
And
We're
every
saying
day you
if you're
have to
drawing a
make a choice.
comparison with God, when you don't listen to God's command, it's wrath. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Wrath, but also mercy and grace.
You're speaking in marriage, right?
We're forgetting that there's also grace. People don't always make the right decisions all the time, and sometimes the best leaders are the ones that they understand that you may not make the best decision now, but they're able to lead you to the next one, to a better one. Nobody's perfect. Like I just hate how we just feel like we all have to be perfect and we all have to sit in this little box and be perfect, and we can't do this, and we can't do that. Like we don't make mistakes.
Nobody's asking y'all to be perfect, and nobody is saying that y'all would never make mistakes, and nobody is saying that a man shouldn't have grace. What we're speaking of now, I'm going to go to the extreme, is where you like God will have wrath for somebody that questions his authority at every chance they get. God would have a wrath for a person that constantly deviates from what he says. He won't continue to show grace and mercy at every chance. We're not saying that you should, but what we're saying is that we're talking about the instances where we're dealing with cantankerous women who do not want to do anything underneath the man that they chose. You picked them. You made babies with them, you let them inside you. You went there. Sometimes y'all make it down the altar. Most of the time y'all don't. And all we're asking is, how is it that you're having such a hard time following his leadership?
Let me show you what grace looks
Nothing
like.
wrong with following leadership. Why are we
let me show
twisting
you
my
what grace
words?
look like.
We've been twisting my words this
Here's what
entire
grace look like.
show.